All right. Check one, check two.
Check one, check two.
What's going on, everyone? Shouts at the Waypoint. Yo, Payne, what's going on? Duster, what's up? Shouts out to...
Got tons and tons of
King
engagement
Nature.
here. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to see people in the live chat engaging. Shouts out to Deaf Muted Records. Toxic Tuba, what's up?
Colossus, special shout. We've got some great, not Alan and I, but I've got some great content coming up with Colossus sometime soon. Stay posted for that. So Colossus, appreciate you tuning in, brother.
Also, shouts out to Ellis Palmer. He's always in my live chats engaging, so good to see you here. Sick Duck, AB. Ralph Finnegan.
Ruslan Romanov, how are you?
Where's everyone tuning in from?
Got Healian here. Pretty much everyone, I've seen at least half of the people that submitted a top 10 are here, which is really great to see too.
That's great. Yeah, shouts out to Healian. Shouts out to Mr. Link. Jojo Dub, what's up? What's up? Are you guys excited to hear the finalist, the top 10?
I know I certainly am, because I've on purpose not re-listened to anything in advance, because I want this to be as on point live as humanly possible. Of course, we had to sort them, so we had to hear a pretty decently sized chunk of the track, but I've stepped away from all that music for a bit, because I think it's important for me to have a fresh as possible perspective on it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm super excited to review all 10 tracks in full. Super excited to share them with you. Everyone did great work contributing to this contest, and overwhelmed by the responses that we got from this contest. So definitely great to see.
I completely agree. The quality of the submissions really, really impressed both of us, and that's what made picking who went to what level and really getting into a top 10 was honestly a huge challenge. So
and we'll get more into that.
To the quality of the work.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so we have 43 people in the chat. Shouts out to the Vancouver, British Columbia crew, Payne, Austria crew, what's up? France, what's up? Russia, Prague, Germany, UK. We're getting a lot of people all over the world right now. A lot of European people. Where's the New Zealand heads at?
Yeah. We had actually a surprising amount of entrants from Russia specific. So privyet вас. Thank you for tuning in. And I'm really amazed at the international participation here. It's not just like a couple of countries. It really is everywhere. Yeah,
it just goes to show you that drum and bass now is a worldwide phenomenon, and I'm so proud to be part of this community and contributing and just and engaging with you through my YouTube channel. We're gonna start up in a few minutes. Here, just keep engaging. I just gotta check the batteries on my camera, so just carry on.
That's 100% fine. This is really great to see, and it's also great. I was hoping we'd see at least one Austrian entrant here, because there's an amazing amount of sick neurofunk that comes out of Austria. So. Fortunately, we did get that from Omicron, so shouts out to you guys. I had to make a pronunciation guide for Omicron because your names are very German. So. What's up, everybody? Nick, Tongue, Payne. Good to see you guys. Jojo, Skywalker. Super cool. I'm really excited to really get this thing going underway here, because we've been preparing for this stream for a long time. A lot of late nights making sure the whole thing is gonna hopefully go as smooth as possible.
Yeah, for sure. So just a heads up, my camera might black out every now and then. Just had issues with my onboard power, so I may have to switch batteries in the middle of the show. Unfortunately, it was unexpected, but I hope you guys don't mind. Should be okay. But yeah, we have about 50 people in the chat, so great to see everyone. I think we should get started here. So welcome everyone to the XLD Remix Finalists. So This is a remix contest that we launched early in January with our friends at Metapop, and it's been a long journey getting to this point. So I'm very happy that we've made it through to the top 10 finalists for this contest. A little bit of history with this remix contest. Again, we're working with our partners at Metapop, and XLD is a track on TYR KOHOUT's forthcoming album on the Accelerate, which is called Accelerate. It comes out next week on March 23rd, and yeah, it was the very first single that came out in September, and it was featured on Drum and Bass Arena. It got a pretty good reception, and really happy with how that track turned out, and very excited for you guys to hear TYR KOHOUT's full-length album, which he's worked on for the last 3 years now. So I think you guys are gonna really enjoy this album. It's a really full range of tracks here, with his signature and neural kind of sound design, bass design sound, with an assortment of different tracks. There's some musical tracks there, some more minimal tracks, and then you have some really happy, hard dance floor tracks. So, TYR, do you want to say any words about your album here?
Oh man, there's so much I think one could say about it. It's kind of like, you know, I'm sure anyone who makes music can relate here. It's that you will, whether you want to or not, you're going to learn a lot about tons of stuff when it comes to pushing boundaries and really getting the best work that you possibly can out of yourself. And I think, to kind of put it neatly, it was a huge learning experience. It involved meeting a lot of new people along the way who gave me a lot of great guidance on it, and learning a lot of techniques, new plugins, synths, all sorts of stuff. Alan was a huge point of, I would call it like direction and guidance throughout that whole thing. He tolerates the huge number of emails that I send him about all my demos and stuff, and responds to basically 99% of them. And I'm very thankful for his, in particular, Alan, you deserve a huge shout out for helping so much to make sure that the album is always staying on path and in the right direction. So yeah, I'm very pleased that this whole thing is like ready to go. He did a great job with the whole top to bottom release plan, doing great artwork, the label, and all the curation behind all that. So I hope that when it comes out, people flood the Deviant Audio website and take a look at that, because I'm very happy with the way that it turned out, and I was very careful to make sure that it was only my best stuff on there. So yeah, super excited. There's a bit more on there featuring Alan and I, so stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, well said, TYR. And once again, the album is called Accelerate. It's out next week, and if you want to check it out, we do have a pre-save link, or a fan link on the descriptions in the YouTube link. So just check down there if you want to stay in touch with the album. But back to this contest, I just want to mention a huge shout out to our sponsors who provided some amazing prizes. So shouts out to Native Instruments, as well as the kind people at Captain Beats. So we're going to talk about the prizes a little bit. So I'll hand it over to you, TYR.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess we'll start from top to bottom, if that's right, Alan. Yep. So the top spot will be receiving Complete 13 Ultimate Native Expansion, and huge prize segment, and extremely generous of our sponsors to make that available for us. So absolutely massive thank you for that. And place number 2 would be Resonant Blaze. And number 3 would be the Captain Plugins 5 Producer Collection. And so basically, Grand Prize is going to get a massive bundle of amazing content. Runner-up prize, or in other words, second, it would be still Complete 13 Native Expansion, Resonant Blaze, and Captain Plugins 5 Plus Beat. And in third would be the Native Expansion Resonant Blaze in Mixed in Key Studio Edition.
Yes, thanks
So
to
an amazing prize roster.
Yeah, huge prize and very generous of our sponsors. So just want to thank you, Native Instruments and Captain Plugins again, and good luck to the finalists, whoever will get them. So this brings us to talk about a little more about how we came down to the top 10 and the evaluation process of this contest. So we had 2 rounds of evaluations to get it down to the 10 finalists. So round 1, we reviewed the excerpts of the 212 entries, and tracks that passed through to the second round were tracks that got the pass from both judges, me and Tier. So tracks that only got a pass from me would not get to the second round. It would have to get passed by both judges. So that brings us to round 2, where we skimmed down the contestants from 212 to 47 entries, and in this round we provided a more general evaluation where we scored each track to a total of a score of 10. Okay. And then we took the top 10 from that evaluation, and those moved on to round 3, which brings us to today, which we're going to be doing a more rigorous round of evaluations. And what I mean by that is we're going to be scoring each track in 3 categories of music production. So although we scored the tracks in round 2, we actually don't know who is the top 3 yet, because that was done more generally with a general score of 10, whereas in today we're doing a more rigorous round of evaluations based on 3 categories of music production, and we'll get into those categories momentarily. So once again, the ranking is undetermined until the end of the show, after we've scored each track.
I think that's perfectly explained. Yep.
All right, cool. So the way today will be scored on, the first category will be marked on composition. So that's the overall list in the track, the use of melody, bass line, hooks, how was the drum section. We may even include aspects of the mix. How well was it mixed in this composition? So that's the first category. And then the second category is the arrangement. So how was the delivery of this track? What kind of arrangement or song structure was used to tell the story of this track? Was it unique and unpredictable, or did it follow a tried and true format? And that brings us to the third category, which is originality. And that's the overall vibe of the track. How unique was this remix? How did it make us feel when we were listening to the track? Did it make us feel something? Did it make us want to dance, right? So the overall vibe, right? Did it take the track to new territory? So each of these categories will be scored to a total of 10, and each judge will be scoring on these 3 categories, which brings us to a total of 60 if you were to tally up all the scores, because I'll be providing a score in each category, and Tier provides a score in each category, and then we add it up, and then we find who is the top 3 from that score.
Yep, well said.
Yeah. All right. So the top 10 who made it today: Shohin, Payne, BC Slumber, Rouman, Omicrøn, Psyek, Jomari, Healian, and onray and Viljen. Okay. So those are the 10. So this brings us to the meat of the show. So here I guess we're gonna introduce the first artist. So let me.
Yeah.
Anything to add before we move on to introducing the artist?
Man, I think you've done a bang-up job here. I think it was perfectly explained. We're totally on track here.
Okay.
So, shall I introduce our first playback here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent. All right. So our first artist goes by Shohin. I hope I'm saying that right. He's an underground drum and bass producer from Wellington, New Zealand. He described to us in his bio that the daily struggle as a musician with a chronic illness. It's hard for him to write music, anything beyond short bursts, due to many physical limitations. So he sees music as his way of to basically not focus on the hardships of sort of daily life. So we both really respect that. Not only does he do that, but he also submitted a banging remix. And so, yeah, I'd love to take a listen now, and let's listen intently here, see if we can get some scoring going.
All right, so this is Shohin's remix.
All right. Check, Alan. I'm not getting your mic right now.
Check. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool. So that was Shohin's track, heavy remix there. I like the dark, almost 90s, late 90s drum and bass vibe there. Guys, just bear with us where we are having some technical issues on the back end. TYR, do you want to recall the connection? So
yeah, I can try that. I'll step out and step back in.
Yeah, yes. So guys, don't mind. His screen will go black for just a moment. But while he's gone, I'm just going to talk about this track. So once again, heavy track by Shohin. I like the heavy use of the breakbeat. He added his own drum sounds. The break was really, I was really impressed by the drum break there. And that kick and snare was heavy. It was original. The use of the XLD bass line and then adding his own mid basses on top, I thought was stellar. The sound design was just great. It was crispy, heavy. Once again, it had that late 90s kind of sound, almost had a kind of Dillinger vibe to it. So in terms of the composition, I really like the sounds on this one, and I'm gonna have to give it a 9.5.
Yeah, the composition for me was really, really nice. I liked how the track took you on a journey really with the sound, and it didn't just kind of park itself in one place. Like the whole thing kept the energy up. Yeah, like the composition. I have a lot of really good things to say about that. I would score that a 9 easily.
Yeah, great track. So arrangement, it was a tried and true song arrangement, meaning a typical DJ format. So it makes it easy for the DJ to mix. And nothing wrong with a tried and true format. Sometimes you don't need a unique arrangement. You just need an arrangement to deliver the track, but it was delivered in a very neat and concise manner. I liked how he introduced some of the XLD vocals pitched down right before the second drop. That was a nice way to bring in the second drop. So in terms of the arrangement, I'll give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm feeling about the same. It's the arrangement was super on point for a mix, and I really, really appreciate that, and because it doesn't throw you too far off of the beaten path. Like there's tracks that you love to listen to, but then you have to be very, very skilled or know the track super well. Like a perfect example would be "Blame You" by Nephews. Like if you don't know that those bass lines are coming in, it'll wonk out your mix a little bit. And this one doesn't do that. And so the arrangement, I would call an 8.5 here. It's very, very usable for DJ. It's not like the craziest, most unexpected thing, but I'm also not criticizing that either. I think that's a very, very good thing.
Yep. All right, and overall vibe, once again, I liked how he brought the track into new territory. Again, it got that old school two-step, tech-step vibe. Really good, brought that nostalgia. It made me feel like I was back in the the 90s at a underground rave where you have those colossal sound systems, pulverizing bass, that dark vibe. So overall, it made me want to dance. It made me feel angry in a good way. So I'm going to give this overall vibe of score of 9.
Yeah, I originally had this at an 8. I'm gonna bump it to an 8.5 here, just because you talked me into it. Because I just imagine big bass bins. You know what I mean? Huge bass bins at some sort of like, that picture that was floating around for a while, where a guy took a picture of like the table and it was just a carpet on the bottom, but then it looked like a giant rave. If that was actually a big rave, this would be that tune. It's a really big tune. So I'm liking the originality, and I like that. Like what I tried to do with the bass line is kind of do that like 90s like jungle thing, and I like that he took that same idea, but then like did it Dillinger or like Dom and Roland style. So it's the same vibe, but also not the same vibe. So yeah, that's gonna be a solid 8.5 for me. That's an awesome remix.
Sick. So yeah, once again, well done, Shohin. Oh, and by the way, to everyone, we just want to mention that we may have some additional prizes at the end of the show. So stick around if you want to learn more about that. But other than that, I'll introduce the next artist. So next artist is Payne from Vancouver, British Columbia, which is out in the west coast of Canada. He mainly produces drum and bass. He's been DJing for over 12 years now, and has been recently taking production more seriously. Interesting fact: he placed. He was in the second place in the Waze Mapper Remix contest, so definitely take note. Waze is a really up and coming drum and bass producer. I think he got the award on Drum and Bass Arena. So the fact that Payne was in second place remixing his track, that says a lot. And he has an events company called 170 Plus Productions, which pre what we're going through right now was throwing events monthly, and hopefully he can throw events again once we get through all this. So shouts out to Payne. He also wants to mention that he likes turtles, and I think he means the chocolate here.
Yeah, I think that reference actually would be the there's an interview a kid did on local news, something like this. The clip came out 12 or 13 years ago, but it was basically reporter asked the kid what he likes about being I think at the zoo, and then he just replies with I like turtles, and that was the end of the clip, and that became a huge sensation. Yeah. So yeah, that's I think that reference might go over some people's heads at this point, because the whole culture of like soundbite memes is old enough now to where there's probably even generations of them.
Yeah. So fun fact. All right, so let's check out Payne's remix.
Some great grooves throughout.
Yeah.
Really liking all these original elements and new sound design and stuff.
I love the delivery of it.
I like that. It takes me for unexpected places. It's nice stuff.
Music when it starts to play. Music when it starts to play.
Love that change up. That bass line.
All right. Just takes a few seconds for it to turn back on. Yeah, great stuff.
That was a spectacular track. I almost wanted to get off my seat and dance. I don't know if you noticed. Couldn't stop moving to that one.
Yeah, that one's very special. I like where that one was going. Yeah, would you like to start on your thoughts on composition, or should I?
Sure, I can start. Overall, loved all the elements that Payne added. So he kept it true to the vibe of the XLD. So all the themes of XLD was there, but he added his own drum work, the bass line. He manipulated some vocals. He added his own atmospherics. It's just all the sounds were so carefully selected from what I heard that it all worked, and it had a really strong hook. That bass line just took me over. So great composition. So I'm gonna have to give it a 9.5.
Yeah, same score from me. It's a 9.5 for exactly the same reasons. I was sitting there, I was typing different numbers into it, and then I was like, okay, I'm pretty good at 8.5, and then a new element coming, okay, I'm actually good at 9, and then a new element 9. You know what I mean? It's just like it kept just getting better and better for me. And what I really appreciate about that too is that you're really rewarded for continuing to listen because he reveals more of the elements that are original as well as part of the track, that it came from. So yeah, composition for me, I mean, I really struggle to think of how that's going to get any better, because honestly, it was very well composed, right from the very top, the bottom rather, with the basses right to the top, of like how the shuffles and that kind of thing were reused from the original track, plus new original like grooves and shuffles were added in. So really nice stuff there.
Yeah, well said. And in terms of arrangement, loved the arrangement. So I noticed that he had an arrangement, almost like an A-B structure with the bass line, where he had that deep rolling re-space, and then it moved into a section of the song where it went for a more stab hitting bass, and it came back to that bass, but I think the notes changed a little bit, and that took me by surprise. It was like, whoa, he brought us somewhere, then he elevated it, and then he brought us to a completely different space, but still within the same theme. So I really thought the arrangement was super well done. I'm going to give it a score of 10. TYR, are you still there? Hello? Check 1, check 2. I think we're having technical difficulties here. Just one moment, guys. I'm gonna have to text here on the back end. Just make sure he's still connected to the stream. It sounds like he didn't catch my message here. So just one moment, guys. In the meantime, I'm just gonna play. You know what? I'm gonna play some music in the background while we wait for TYR. How's the chat going? Wow, we got 81 people in the chat. Shouts out to Dawn Hub, Unknown Audio. Yeah, straight vibes. That was nicely produced. I agree. Warja, what's up? Infinite Creations, what's going on? Udai Shankar. D-Force, what's up? Matt Levy, Nick Tung, Deuce Nasty, Charles Baranowski, Toxic Tuba. Hope I pronounced your names all right. If I didn't, I apologize. Just waiting for TYR to pop back into the stream. Seems like there's some connection issues. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'll have to switch browsers after this. I've officially dropped my endorsement for WaterFox, so sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
But anyway,
yeah, not sure if you caught my score, but really loved that.
I didn't.
Okay, so really loved that arrangement. I was just blown away by the delivery and how there was an A-B structure of the bass line where he brought us through this really deep place with that rolling filtered Reese bass line, and then he introduces a completely different bass line in the middle of the track, which has a more staccato, punchy sound. And then he brought us to then he brings us back to that deep rolling bass, but I think he changes the notes a little bit. So I liked how he kept it unpredictable. It was a really strong delivery. So I gave that an arrangement score of 10.
Yeah, wow, glowing praise. I thought the arrangement was really on point. I liked how it kept moving, evolving. It didn't keep in like static and parked in one place. I felt engaged with the whole thing, and it wasn't like sort of left feeling like, oh, okay, now we've just returned back to the beginning. Now I know the whole track. You know what I mean? Like, it's a common thing I run into music where it just doesn't take me to enough areas, even though I'm like 3-4 minutes in, whatever it is. So for me, the arrangement, there's another one of like numbers just kept creeping up, and for me, I'm sitting at a 9.5 here. The arrangement is really, really good.
Nice. Okay, and the overall vibe, once again, this song made me feel something. That bass line and those bass change-ups. Sometimes So before I even say that, a lot of music out there, it just sticks to that one hook or one bass line, and that's the track, right? And nothing wrong with that, because that's a tried and true method of delivering a song. But every now and then you'll come across a song where the song arrangement is a little more interesting. It takes you to different places. So this song was original. I liked how he delivered the song that way and how he took us to different places with that bass line. And I noticed that he used the XLD elements very creatively. I noticed some of the vocals were processed or pitched down. Some of the bass sounds and synth sounds were reinterpreted. So, and once again, it made me feel something. I wanted to get off my seat and dance. So in terms of the overall vibe, I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same tip. The originality is going to be a 9.5 for me as well. It is very hard for me to hear like anything drum and bass related and think that, say, oh, this is a completely new take on the genre, right? Because you and I have probably, I don't even know, collectively listened to like 100,000 tracks at this point, like a huge amount of music, and so it really sticks out to me when something doesn't just kind of take the same journey the whole time, I'm not impressed if the formula is something I've already heard like 1,000 times. I can like it, but it for me to really like tune in, like, you know what, that's special, that's different, that's unique. It's got to be really its own thing and have its own identity. And so for that reason, the originality is going to be a 9.5 for me as well. It really caught my attention in my ear.
Yep, well said. All right, so that was Payne out in Vancouver, BC. So TYR, I think you're going to introduce the next artist.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So our third artist goes by BC Slumber, which is short for Benji Colborn. Colborn. He's a gentleman from Melbourne, Australia, who produces ambient house, left field, and IDM, and he has a heavy focus on sound design and synthesis that he's certainly brought that flair through to us with this submission. And so he's got a slower, more mellow take for us here. So we're going to take the tempo down a few notches and check out what he's got for us.
Sweet. All right. So this is BC Slumber. D vibes. All right, guys, we had some technical issues with the track actually, and TYR actually did not hear the entire track, so I unfortunately apologize for this. We're gonna have to replay this track from the start. Please bear with us. So TYR, I'm gonna play the track. Can you hear all right now?
I'm gonna download it on my end and listen to it directly.
Okay.
Just because of the other stuff I was talking about. I will need a fair bit of time here though after I get set up.
Right. Well, we're just playing Payne's remix again while this happens. So.
It's one of those things where you can test it to death, and then when you actually do the stream, it works different. Okay, so I'm gonna mute the stream completely. I won't be able to hear you. I'm going to just play the track on my own computer and then come back when I've had a chance to listen to it.
Yeah, sure. I'll play it while you listen as well, so we're both listening to it again. So once again, we're playing BC Slumber's remix again. Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties.
All right, I'm gonna get myself set up here. So appreciate y'all bearing with me here.
Shouts out to the yoga crew. Yes, definitely has that kind of deep vibe. 4 a.m. A lot of us can relate to that. 4 a.m. out, waiting until the sun rises at a party track. He's out in Melbourne, Australia. So shouts out to him. Really cool remix. I like the deep vibe once again.
Yeah.
And enjoyed that 4 a.m. kind of deep vibe. It really took it back to someone said introspective vibe. I definitely agree. It kind of had that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I'm also digging that like late night sort of. I'm in the last one. People were mentioning Barrio vibes. I get much more Barrio vibes from this, where it's kind of like, it puts you in like a. Yeah, kind of like in like almost like a trance like state, you know what I mean? Like you're like floating around with this remix, and it's kind of just like transporting you all sorts of different places. So I can see why he sort of described himself at the outset as someone who focuses on like a synthesis of sound design and like found sounds, organic elements, that kind of thing. And it's definitely that's for as far as composition is concerned, that's gonna be a solid 9 from me.
Nice. For me, I enjoyed the elements that he included in this remix. The one element that was unique to me was that vocal that played through the track. Also, like the really deep pads that he introduced midway into the track. For me, I'm gonna give this one an 8.5 in terms of composition.
I think it's a pretty fair score. For me personally, that's going to be an 8. And what I liked about that is it was a comforting sort of arrangement. Like I didn't feel too thrown far off, like in any sort of left field direction, where like he tried to switch it up in all these different crazy ways, but then it didn't work and that kind of thing. So it kept me like in a focused place, like really in there. And now with that being said, for me, that puts it at about an 8 because it didn't take like an enormous amount of risks, and so it's kind of like I can see why he did it that way to keep it focused, not take away from the energy of it. But as a result, for me, it's not like an absolutely perfect score, but nonetheless, excellent arrangement. I really like what he did.
Yeah, I definitely feel what you're saying there. So I like the delivery of the song, how it almost has two movements. So the first part of the track was a little more stripped back, and then at the breakdown, he introduces that pad, which adds another dimension to the track and takes us to a new place. The only thing that detract for me was that I found that vocal was a bit loopy. I thought he could have took it out at certain points as opposed to keeping it playing throughout. So I did notice that, and it did start to sound a little more repetitive. But I did think overall the vibe was there, delivery was good. So in terms of arrangement, I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay, that's fair, and I think this will be the first sort of point where our scores are very different. So as far as originality is concerned, I'm actually going to give this a 9, and the reason being is because it didn't just stick to the tempo or the formula or any sort of expectation or anything like that. And I really like that he tried to be adventurous with how the track was laid out, and I find like high to low tempo conversions don't usually work out, you know what I mean? Like you hear a lot of like stretching or compressing artifacts or that kind of thing, but the way that he used the available elements was in a very transparent, clear way, and yet still like wafty, like I sort of imagine this kind of like kind of like an Outback Music Festival type of like B stage sort of vibe, sunset, you know what I mean? I can picture all sorts of things around there, and for that reason, like it took me a lot of great places, like image wise, and so originality is definitely gonna be a solid 9 from me.
Yeah, I do agree with the imagery there. So I'm glad you brought that out. It definitely brought those visuals of being out in a beach party. The sun's about to come up, so hence the 4 a.m. reference. And overall deep vibe. It did make me feel something. I think it was that arrangement that could have been improved there in terms of delivering the overall vibe. So in terms of overall vibe and originality, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because it did take it to new territory and new tempo. That was BC Slumber.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
So,
great stuff from BC Slumber. Appreciate that. Appreciate that experience for the listening.
yeah, great work. So on to the next artist. So we have Rouman from Yeisk, Russia. Hopefully I pronounced that all correctly. He is a drum and bass producer. He got into drum and bass in 2005 and has been promoting it since. I think that means by events and DJing and whatnot. He's now deep into production after buying some serious equipment. So an interesting fact about him, and I think a lot of us can relate, is that he has a swearing neighbor who doesn't actually appreciate his music making. So he has to produce mostly on his headphones because of this limitation. And I think a lot of us can relate to having these kind of limitations where we may have a neighbor, a roommate who doesn't appreciate loud music, and we may have to adjust our studio in our production methods because of this. So impressively, he delivered an amazing we're gonna hear it, but from what we heard in the original evaluations, he gave us what sounded like an impressive mix, even considering the limitations in his studio. All right, so
Cool. Looking forward.
So this is Rouman from Russia. So 3, 2, 1. Nice drums.
Don't stop the music. Don't stop the music. Don't stop the music. When it starts to play. Don't stop the music.
Wow, 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 wow. Surdy says this is nasty vibes. Heavy, heavy remix. Tier, I can't hear you. Check 1, check 2, Tier. Cannot hear you still. One moment, everyone. Just checking in with Tier's microphone. Check 1, check 2. Tier. All right, just one moment. Says Tier, he has to reconnect, but that was a heavy, heavy remix by Rouman. Looks like everyone was enjoying that. Nice glide on the bass, says Duster. Waypoint says fire. Lots of fire emojis. Transitions.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, heavy, heavy remix. I was just reading the comments. Everyone seems to like this track. Really nice transition, says Waypoint. Eris says kick drum was big. So
yeah, there's some great bass patches in there. Great, like, just thick sound design. Yeah, the whole thing was in a really good spot.
Yeah, in terms of So yeah, I really enjoyed all the elements that he introduced. That Reese was heavy. That knocking bass was dope that he introduced. Drums were tight. It was funky. It was rolling. It was catchy. It had a good hook. Overall sound design was pretty good. I did like that Reese. I did notice just slightly it was overly gritty. I thought maybe he could tone down the grittiness a bit and bring a build more silkiness in that Reese. But it was a nasty Reese. I do give him that. Overall, I think the composition was good. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Yeah, all great points. Yeah, it's there were so many like. For me, the biggest vibe I got was like Spy vibes. You know, like it reminded me a lot of something that he would make in a good way. Like Carlos makes amazing music, and I can tell that the influences here. Where I saw some comments kind of going by about like, you know, Let It Roll. Is this Let It Roll? Like I can totally see where that's coming from. It's kind of got like this big festival, sort of like writing all over it, and I like that because it's so like energetic and fun, and it would be totally at home in like a mix of other big bangers like that. So really nice work on that. The composition for me is going to be about an 8.5 for about some of the same reasons here. It's like basically the knocking bass, the like rhythmic bass, all that stuff is super cool. Probably could have done without the extra pads that were added in. It probably would have just kept the vibe going a bit better, and then that I don't know, like that kind of it had a bit of like an overly FM texture during some points. It took me a bit of like the knocking bass for a second, but then it would float back into something like more smooth and like round. So like little moments like that would basically benefited a lot. And so as it stands though, great arrangement. That's gonna be an 8.5 for me.
Yeah, in terms of arrangement, I did like the delivery of the song. I did like how he teased the "Don't Stop the Music," then he would pause for like a split second. I thought that really delivered the idea of "Don't Stop the Music," and he did that a couple times to build up suspense before that track actually drops. So really enjoyed how he used really interesting build up for the track, and then I liked how he switch the Reese to that knocking bass. So once again, that point about introducing new bass lines and introducing a new dimension to the track really helps the track develop. And the second drop was dope. Had a nice build up. And went back right into the drop again. So it was a great dance floor track. Delivery was great. Once again, I liked how he teased the XLD themes in the beginning with the "Don't Stop." I thought that was very creative. So I'm going to give it a 9.5.
I mirror pretty much the exact same sentiment, and for me, the arrangement was sort of like with the Shohin, right? Like it works. is very, very like DJ friendly, and I liked how it didn't just stay stagnant, and then during the second drop he switched up like how the basses were all arranged, and stutters and pauses and edits, and moved it around in ways that you weren't expecting, because you've already heard that, and so he wanted to take you on a new journey, and I really appreciate the attention to detail with that. And you're right, how he flipped the vocal sample to basically be a gap filler, and then going back in, hard bass, like that's really good stuff. And for me, I'm feeling an 8.5 in the arrangement. I'm really liking that. It's well put together.
Yeah, and overall, in terms of the originality, I like that. Once again, that spy vibe, really nice dance floor vibe. It did make me want to dance. It had a lot of energy in the track, and creative use of the XLD sample. So originality and vibe, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm on a similar tilt. I like that it reminded me of tracks I'm familiar with, and I knew exactly where we were going, and like, all right, this is good vibes right here. This is going to be hard, and then building up, and then, yeah, for sure, like, took me right there into that hard, like, festival area, and I like that it wasn't like a track that just tried to be disorienting for something to do. Like, it was really just genuinely focused, a great like rolling tune, and for vibe and originality, that's going to be an 8 from me.
All right, so great work, Rouman, and then let's introduce the next artist.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just going to flip the browser changes, got all my stuff in different places. All right, so the next one is from Omicrøn. And so this is an Austrian duo made of Jürgen Unafasa and Steven Schaufler. And yes, I did practice that. These gentlemen come from a place where a lot of amazing drum and bass is made, and this submission really is no exception. They came together via a mutual enjoyment of raves. Very fitting. So let's see what the boys from the hilly lands have got in store for us. And Alan, if you want to give me a 3, 2, 1, I will play it on my end.
Yeah, guys, are you impressed by TYR's Russian? Message us in the chat box if you are. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Check one, just making sure you can hear me, Alan.
Yeah. Wow.
Great.
That's a great dance floor track.
Totally agreed. It was the first time it prompted me in the chat to be like, yeah, this is good stuff.
Yeah. Everyone loves that second drop. They liked how they used the guitar and bass steps. Nice. Do you want to take a stab at this one first?
Yeah, let's do it. For composition, I mean, wow, that's really, really good. I'm definitely getting some very strong influences from some well-known drum and bass producers from the Austrian scene. I'll let you figure out who that is. Excellent sound design. Drum sound nice and thick, but also like fast and like really well shaped. Everything has like its place. It like the whole thing, like the bass lines are like really thick and have tons of bass, but don't like overwhelm the entire composition. I like that everything has room to breathe, and I love like how the envelopes of everything are like perfectly crafted to then like leave room for the next element that's coming in. Like the whole mix sounds like super loud and like really full. And so for me, this would be the first 10 on composition. I think it was absolutely flawlessly executed.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I thought the use of all the elements of XLD done very creatively and classy. Someone mentioned the guitar. I like how he kept that guitar rolling. And I did notice there's, again, two different bass lines that move through the track. I'm just going to bring the track back because I do want to hear that again. Yeah. And this section, I really enjoyed that part. So that FM bass was dope. Love the sound design. I love, once again, you mentioned the drums. That was the most impressive part about this track to me was first the drums. I thought, like you mentioned, it was really punchy, a really well mixed and clean, tight snare. I like it when people bring their own drums into a remix, and it sounded really crisp. So that was the standout element for me in the track. The bass line, the FM stab bass was dope. I liked that. Maybe he could have tweaked it a little more to push it over the edge, but the sound design overall was good. So composition, I did like the different bass lines, the hook. So I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Nice. I think that's totally fair. And then for the next section arrangement, the arrangement is basically like that's about as good as I can really ask for in like what you call like a traditional drum and bass arrangement. Like it didn't throw you for any weird loops. It didn't introduce any sound design stuff where it really wouldn't work in a DJ context. It's like a perfect like point to point track that would be double, triple dropped perfectly with other tracks. Like it's just super usable in a DJ set, and I could imagine this is like very good to play out. And so I can't give it perfect marks because it didn't go in any too weird and unexpected directions. Like in really, really good. It's like, well, what do you even say? You know what I mean? Like the track is just so well made. It's original. It basically, I can't give it a 10 because it really just takes inspiration from a few super well-known Austrian influences. And again, I'm sure you know who we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't preclude me from giving it super high marks because it's still just, it slaps. You know what I mean? It's like, it's big, it's rambunctious, it's so like full of energy and great sound design. So for me, it's essentially perfect. It's a 9.5 from me for originality. I like what these guys have done.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. When that knocking FM knock bass came in, it was like, boom, wow. It just took this track to new territory. And once again, had that energy, made me want to dance. It was punchy. It was original. So I share the same thing. I'm going to give it a score of 9.5.
Major schnitzel power in that one.
Yeah. So that was the fifth artist. So I'm just waiting for the scores to come in because this is the midway of the contest. And
Halfway there.
Yeah, was that Russian, by the way?
No,
Okay.
that is very German.
Oh, that was German. My apologies. I thought it was Russian, and then someone mentioned we want to hear Tears Russian a little more.
I don't know what to say. Приветствую вас. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, I think Tear just cut out again.
You're so confident. I know how to catch the bus, but I'm not an expert.
You cut out there for the last 10 seconds, so if you don't mind repeating what you said there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would say, I'm competent. I'm not like a super expert. I've been learning Russian for about 2 years. I don't know, I've had an affinity, I guess, for like accents and languages and sort of culture and that kind of thing. I won't get lost if I was suddenly dropped in Moscow and I had to catch the bus. But I don't know enough to be dangerous, but it's a great language for sure. But if someone wants to draw me a sentence or something like that, I can read it, I think, without stuttering too much.
Yeah. So the stream cut out a bit. So while I was scoring for arrangement, so my score for arrangement. Oh, I forgot. Do you remember what I gave it? I think I gave it a.
I think you
9, right?
I think you give it a 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at your tab because I just don't want to look at your tab. I want to keep your scores out of my brain.
Yeah, it was a 9. Anna just needs to know because by the way, shouts out to Flo Anastasia, who's working behind the scenes, tallying up the scores, and she's interacting with the live chat. I think there's just an issue where I cut out when I was scoring earlier. So my arrangement score was 9. So yeah, cool. And so,
all good.
All right, so this brings us midway into the contest. We have reviewed the 5 artists so far. So let's. I think this is a good time to check over our scores. So Shohin's at 53, Payne's at 57.5. BC Slumber's at 50.5, Rouman's at 52.5, and Omicron's at 56.5. So this is a very tight race. So very, very tight race. All the tracks has been outstanding so far. So we'll have to see how this develops.
And it's like no one is getting like low scores. Like it's really, so far I haven't hit anything below an 8, and I think it's really just like a testament to just the quality of music we've been receiving on this. Like how am I going to give anything on an individual level like a lower score? You know what I mean? Everything is such a high bar. So thanks again to everyone who submitted these amazing remixes. This is like such a treat to listen to this stuff.
Yeah, likewise. So all right, on to the next artist. So the next artist is Psyek from Prague, Czech Republic. He makes drum and bass, dubstep, and hip hop. Sorry, Thierry, were you about to speak there? Sorry.
Personal faves, are we doing on halftime or at the 10?
Oh, yes, we're doing personal faves, aren't we? So my apologies. So before we introduce Psyek, let's talk about that. Thanks for mentioning that.
No problem. Didn't want to interrupt. It was just more. I just want to make sure we gave those guys some recognition.
Yes. So before we get into that, one moment.
All good.
Yeah, so this contest was a challenging process. As we spoke about earlier, we had 2 rounds of very rigorous evaluations to get it down to the 10 finalists. And because we had 2 different judges with completely different musical backgrounds and tastes. Not everything that I liked made it through, and likewise not everything that TYR liked made it through, because this is a contest where we're both judging. So both the tracks had to get the pass from both of us. But we did feel that there were some outstanding remixes that didn't make it through, but we thought deserved to get some shine. So we just wanted to spend a few minutes to call it out. So I had a couple personal favorites. Oh, my camera just went out, so I'm gonna pass it to you, TYR. Why don't you talk about your personal favorites first?
Yeah. No problem at all. And I think if this is just a reminder that this is not a huge company with massive amounts of resources. This is just us doing it in our bedrooms, basically. So thank you, everyone, for putting up with the slight jank production quality here. We've really tried our hardest. My personal favorites here, I mean, there was a ton of good stuff that just because as Alan said, right, like, we have to both be on the same page for it to be included in the top 10 list. There's just no discussion about that, because if both of us don't feel passionate, then it's going to be one person giving it low scores and the other person giving it high scores. If it's not on the same page, then it's not fair. End of story. And that also means that there's going to be a lot of tracks, as he said, that got put, one pile or the other, but we still personally like those tracks. And so, Alan, do you want me to mention all of them, or do you want to kind of go back and forth on that?
Sure. Why don't you start? It doesn't matter. Whatever you think is a good way to go.
Sure. I'll just kind of, because the list isn't super long anyway here, so I'll just do all four of them on my list. Sure. So I want to highlight, first one I want to highlight is the entry from Dash. Reason I do is because there were some major Total Science vibes going on there, kind of like in a bit of war, Total Science inspirations there. I can't say enough good things about the discography of Total Science. Like, they've been a huge influence on me for ever, basically, before I even made music. You know what I mean? Like, when I was working in a warehouse stacking boxes, I would have Total Science like mixes and tracks in my earphones. So the second I heard those vibes, I'm like, that's good. So I had really good production on it. The whole thing was awesome from top to bottom. The next one I want to mention is the Lightman submission, because he turned it basically into like an actual like reggae dubby, like wobbly wobbler, you know what I mean? Like, I took my inspiration from that, and I was so surprised that someone actually like went all the way into making it sort of back into like a reggae like bouncer. That's very impressive, because that must have been pretty much all original arrangement and composition in there, because I don't know how you'd pull that from a sample library and have it sound that authentic. So if it is sample libraries, I'd be like double impressed, because it sounds very authentic. So awesome job from Lightman. And we'll try to leave as many links as we can in the description, so you can check out anyone who we sort of shout out so that they don't get missed. Next one I want to shout out is Rob NOA or Noah. I don't know if he's in the stream, if you can clarify that, but I would assume it's Rob NOA. It reminded me a lot of Skeptical in a very, very good way, right? We're all influenced by music. We all take bits and pieces that we like and then integrate it into our own sound. Probably, Alan, maybe you'll have your own thoughts, but I feel like my sound is like 25% me and then 75% of my influences, just because, like, if you have no influences, then your sound doesn't resemble anything and it'll be its own chaotic mess. But like, I feel like it's in that 20 to 25% wiggle room that you can sort of put your, your secret sauce in there, and then hopefully that would then inspire, however many other people. But reminded me of Skeptical in an awesome way. The bass just like, you know what I mean? It was a pounder from start to finish. Loved what he did with that. And finally, the Jonah K. It's just a great, like, what do you say, right? Like, it's a great track. It's got like a good drum flutter sweep kind of thing, and it's just very well put together, and it had me engaged from start to finish, and trust me, not a lot of tracks keep me listening all the way through, and this one definitely did. So very, very much was into the Jonah K remix, so appreciate all four of those little top picks that I had. Alan, I'm curious to hear what your picks are too.
Yeah, nice one. So those were some great personal favorites. So some of my personal favorites, I really enjoyed Dubious Waves. So he kind of did an 80s electro vibe with a slowed down, almost 100 BPM tempo, and it really brought the track to a completely different territory while keeping the elements of XLD running through the track. I really enjoyed that. It made me think of kind of like the weekend kind of vibe. So definitely enjoyed that one. Another one, Nico, he did a really dope kind of left field bass kind of halftime vibe, really cool breaky sounds, and he introduced some nice bass lines and vibes in that track. So definitely like how he brought it into more rugged territory. So appreciate Nico's remix. Another one, Oliver Gill, he brought it to a more tech house kind of vibe. I thought that was really interesting. It's not easy to bring a track that's 170 beats per minute and bring it down to a slower tempo at like 125 BPM, but I liked how he brought it to that territory. It was unexpected because going from drum and bass and house doesn't happen a lot, and it had a nice groove. I liked how he did it. And finally, there was a remix by Med, and he did kind of a more atmospheric neural track with really cool cinematic soundscapes. It had just one drop, so we kind of thought maybe was this track complete or not, but I did like the sound design in that track, the bass lines in it, the drums, so I did want to call out that track. So those were my personal favorites, and we are leaving links to each of our personal favorites down in the description, so I encourage you guys to check out our personal favorites as well. If you want, there's a link for all 212 submissions, and on top of that, if you want to check out any of the finalists today, we have left their social media links down also in the description.
Yes, definitely give anyone who you're interested in a follow. That kind of thing helps a lot when you're especially wanting, even if you're really high up on the kind of music food chain, let's say, follows and likes and engagement helps, but like especially when you're really getting started out, just that one or couple comments might really make your day, you know what I mean? So, and anyone who feels like following these talented people, please do.
Yeah, fully agree. All right, so that said, back to the remix contest. So we have our sixth finalist, and he goes by the name of Psyek from Prague, Czech Republic. He does drum and bass, dubstep, and hip hop. And he's been interesting fact that he shares with me is that he's been listening to 2 Unlimited since the age of 10. So I have also been listening to 2 Unlimited. That was my first, I guess, entry into more dance music. It was more commercial, but that was, I guess, my gateway into it before I got into underground house and jungle drum and bass. So he actually has music out on some respected labels, including Architecture Recordings, Dutty Audio. He also runs his own label called Deaf Muted, so you might have seen him in the chat. So shouts out to Deaf Muted Recordings. He has done many competitions in the past, and so this is a very interesting fact because he decided to challenge himself in this remix to allow him only one day to spend on this remix. And it goes to show sometimes you don't need to overthink things, and you spend some time, a limited time in a studio, and it forces yourself to be creative.
Yeah, that's all super good. That's a great intro, Alan. So I'm ready to play the track when you are.
All right, so this is Psyek from Prague, and 3, 2, 1.
Check. Just making sure I'm still here in the stream.
Yep, you're here.
Awesome.
Loud and clear. That was dope. Sick.
Mm-hmm.
Sick remix.
Big tune.
Very big tune. Should I start with this one?
Yeah, go for it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I love the sound design on that bass line. That definitely liked that vibe. Made me want to dance once again. Overall, the elements were dope. It all worked. Had a strong hook. That bass line really pulverizing and takes you in. So, yeah, really loved that bass line, the sound design of the bass line. Only thing that I think could be... So there's such a thin margin in this contest because the content and the production is so good, right? So I'm trying to listen with a very critical ear here, and I think the only thing that I think could have been marginally better was that snare. I felt like the snare somehow could pop out a little more. I don't know if that could be a mix thing or it could be maybe a sound design thing. I thought the snare could pop up a little. So considering that, the composition was great. I love that bass line. Overall, the groove of the drums is good. So I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Very high praise for Alan to like a track that much. So trust me there. It's he's hard to impress. So that's a very, very good mark. Yeah. I mean, composition for me was really, really nice, and actually I didn't mind the snare not being a big pop or type of snare. If anything, it actually was probably better that it was more of like a break. And the reason for that is because it just felt more like he used original samples, but it felt like a break, if you know what I mean. Like it really tried to pay homage to like I saw some comments DLR, and for me I got Dom and Roland vibes and like Engineers Without Fears type vibes at some point, you know what I mean. Like it's got like old school like a bit of breakage in there as well. I liked what was going on there, and for me, like there's very little, and as you said, right, like the margins on this are like they're like strand of hair thin. You know what I mean? Like the quality, the things we're gonna have to nitpick to give not everything like a 10 are almost insane. Like that you'd pick these tracks this much, but this is what's required because like how else are you gonna pick a winner out of a pool of incredible music? For me, the composition I'm looking at a 9, where it would have probably put me on a 9.5, possibly 10 tilt, was having more bass variations. It did, in my opinion, over rely on that one bass patch. And that's totally fine for a mix perspective, by the way. Like, if you're mixing it into tunes, you basically have it playing in the background. Actually, like DJ Hazard does this a lot. Totally different vibe, but like same idea where he'll let tunes roll out the whole time. And I think this track would have worked perfectly in a kind of roll out situation on like a big, festival type of thing where you want to layer it and you can't work with the track that's going to change too much or it's going to screw with your whole mix. So this is a very, very mixable tune in that regard because of the way the bass is. But as it stands, like if I'm just sitting here listening to it, I would have appreciated a bit more, just a bit more like dynamism like in the bass. And so for me, that's still a solid 9. But I'm not complaining here technically. It's just like what would have been a 10 for me. I wanted to explain.
All right, I'm getting some comments here that your microphone is levels twice over mine, and someone mentioned that when you're speaking a bit further away from the mic, it's a bit better. So we'll be cognizant.
Sure, I can just sit here.
Yeah. So in terms of arrangement, once again, tried and true. In terms of a DJ format, so delivered the track, and once it dropped, it hit and it got you. So I think it was delivered nice. Nothing more to say there. I think I mirror what you say, Tier. Sometimes you just need something that delivers the track, and it does deliver. So I'm going to give it a score of 9 in terms of arrangement.
Yeah, I'm on exactly the same vibe as you. That's a 9 on arrangement for me, because really, like the whole thing is basically just like it's super cohesive. It works. Nothing is like arguing in the mix. Like there's no clashing. It's just so like listenable throughout the whole thing. The arrangement's super solid. Yeah, it gets the same perfect D&B score as the other tracks, which is a 9, which is to say it didn't throw me off for left field and didn't like throw me an innovation sort of unexpected nugget in there. Not complaining, but for me the highest I can score that and like feel good about it is a 9, which is to say it's a perfect like technical 10 on as far as like if you're rating like drum and bass specifically. So I'm very, very pleased with how that came out.
Yeah, so in terms of originality and overall vibe, I felt like this was a track that would get a reload if it were played at an event, at a dance. So it did give me that vibe. When it dropped, I was like, boom, that womp, womp, womp sound. Loved that. It just
just hear people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it really had that impact. It was really dancey, great dance floor track. Great vibe. So I'm gonna give it 9.5 in terms of vibe and originality.
I was torn on 9 and 9.5. For this one is a 9 for like vibe and originality. It's basically for it, and I'm so because like putting numbers on art is, as someone said in the comments, right? Is like that's tough, man. Like because when a track is so good and like so fresh and full, like putting numbers on it sometimes feels a little like too absolute, you know what I mean? But the originality for me is a 9. Just I don't know, that's very much like a feeling mark for me. I don't even know if I could fully explain why. That it hits in a lot of really good places, and the energy is great, and it's tight and it's fresh. So very, very good tune, and super high marks across the board for me.
Yeah, I definitely mirror you. It's really hard to give a point. I almost feel like it doesn't do it justice sometimes. But unfortunately, we have no other way to judge a contest if we can't provide a score. So in my eyes, it's like I see perfect scores everywhere here, but it's hard to do that in a contest. So yeah, I hope everyone appreciates the process. And so on to the next artist.
And yeah, I think it'll be my switch up here to introduce. Yeah. So our 7th entry is coming to us from Mississauga, Ontario, from a gentleman named Matthew Rosales, aka Jomari. He's a producer and DJ, and he's basically in the neighboring city. So shout out to the Ontario talent crew. There's I actually know where those buildings are in the picture. We've passed by them. Yeah, it's been amazing to see how much like Canadian talent has passed through this contest. So major shout outs to all the Toronto, Ontario, like BC, Edmonton. There's a lot of Canadians who entered in. So big up you guys. And basically, Matthew just really wanted us to know that he loves dim sum. Fair enough, man. Dim sum is a good time.
I love dim sum too.
So, yeah. So, without further ado, maybe let's maybe do some takeout on Matthew Rosales here and check out his tasty entry.
Well said.
So, give me a count here, and I'll give it a play.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Music when it starts to play. Music when it starts to play.
Check, check.
All right. Yeah.
Sure I exist.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that was Jomari from Mississauga.
Stranger, you're still muted.
Oh, really?
Let me make sure I'm not also muted. There we go. Hear you just good.
Check.
Excellent, sir. All right. Good stuff.
Yeah, once again, that was Jomari from Mississauga, Toronto. So that's 30 minutes west of downtown Toronto. Shouts out to the Mississauga crew.
Next door neighbors, practically.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to do composition first, or shall I?
Go ahead.
All right, sir. Yeah, composition's really good stuff, man. That's there's a lot of stuff in here to like. I like that it kind of took some inspiration. I in the drum fills and arrangement, I heard a lot of Noisia in there. Like in terms of like how the snare was designed, how the shuffles were put in, all really good. It didn't sound like a break. Like it sounded like almost kind of like an E kid or something like that. Like it was. I don't know, like it wasn't necessarily just programmed in, you know what I mean? Like it had some life and energy and like depth, and I like that it didn't just stay like totally stagnant. And Spectrasoul is actually really good at doing that kind of thing too. So for me, I was kind of floating numbers here and there, and then what I landed on was an 8.5 for composition. There's a lot of stuff in there to like, and basically what would have made it a better for me composition wise was probably a little less aggressive on some of those FM patches, and if some of the drum elements were kind of more glued together, there were things that really stood above the whole mix, and the shuffles I wanted to hear a bit more of, because it kind of didn't put me 100% in the groove, but I completely see what he was going for. So yeah, excellent stuff.
All right. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the composition of that track. I do agree. The drum work definitely stood out for me. It was very top-notch, industry grade. The snare was popping. The drums were rolling, and I did appreciate the additional percussion that he adds as the track progresses for more of that roller vibe, like those shakers and bongos. Definitely kept it really funky. I really liked the vibe of that. Those definitely a dance floor roller. So shouts out to all the drum and bass rollers crew. This one's out to you. One thing I thought could have stood out a little more was the sound design. I thought maybe a touch more grittiness in the sound. So I guess I differ from you in terms of the thoughts about the sound design and FM patches. I thought it could slightly have a bit more grit to it. But other than that, the composition was great. So I give it a score of 9.
Nice. Mirror those sentiments 100%. Yeah, the arrangement was really good. It brought a lot of excellent stuff to the table, and I liked, as you said, like the bongo switch up in the second half. Didn't just kind of like mirror the first half. It's a big gripe of mine when the first and second half of the tracks are almost the same. That's a big no-no for me. And he didn't do that at all. It was excellent from start to finish, and it kept me engaged, and I really respect that. Very mixable. The arrangement didn't leave me feeling like there's big gaps in the energy, like where it's welled up in one place and then missing in the other. The whole thing, the intro, like suited the whole thing perfectly. Because another trope I don't really like is where the intro doesn't have anything to do with the drop. Like it actually does kind of carry you on this like energy wave the whole time. So that was really pleasant for me. Like the whole thing was a great engaging listen, and the arrangement was awesome. So I'm going to give that a 9.
Yeah, I do mirror those thoughts as well. Great DJ track in terms of its delivery. I like all the drum fills and edits that he adds at the end of the phrase. It keeps the song interesting, as you say. It keeps the listener engaged. So the delivery was on point in terms of a dance floor roller track. So I'm going to give it a score of 9.
Cool, man. That makes sense. Got some comments saying the mic's a little hot, so I've dropped the volume slightly.
Yeah.
So as far as originality is concerned, Yeah, there's a lot of really good original elements in there. I like that he brought a lot of like his own sound design to the game here, because that's super important. You know what I mean? Like not just recycling all the elements in there, but putting your own personal touch into the track is super important, and he definitely delivered on that on many fronts. I like that if that had anything to do with the original snare, it didn't sound like it. So to me, it sounded like he pretty much did a full kit replacement, or like an 80% kit replacement on that, but it kept the role that I was going for in the original track, and it didn't just kind of like completely go out of nowhere just for something to do. Like he kept it focused and like a precise, energetic effort there, and I really appreciate that. I heard some good influences, but nonetheless, I wouldn't call it a 100 million% original thing. There was a lot of borrowed energy there from like established artists, and not in a bad way. I like that this matches the other pieces of music in like a similar sort of vein or catalog. For me, the originality is going to be an 8.5.
Yeah, for me, I appreciate it was a dope roller vibe. Once again, these kind of roller vibes are especially powerful when played in a DJ mix at a dance. So it definitely made me want to dance. So I'm gonna give it a score of 9 in terms of vibe.
Nice.
All right, so that brings us to our next artist. So over to you. Oh, is it me actually? Yeah, actually
yes, it
me.
is.
Yeah, okay. My apologies.
Over to you.
Yeah, okay. Back to me. So next artist is, hope I pronounce this correctly, but Healian from Graz, Austria. Yeah, Austria, from Graz, Austria. So shouts out to Healian.
Oh, you just did this cardinal sin, the Australia-Austria mix-up. Oof.
Oh, shit. Graz, Austria.
That's the forbidden one.
Yeah. Oh, I did it. Live on air too. Well, that's what happens
That's right.
with these live streams. So Healian produces drum and bass, house, and hip hop. He has dabbled in various genres and gets inspiration from other genres, and I do think that's important as an artist. It's important not to be singular, meaning you should try to get inspiration from a variety of sources. It would only enrich your music. So definitely appreciate
100%.
that philosophy. So here is Healian's track, 3, 2, 1.
Music when it starts to play. It starts.
Tune.
Heater.
Tune. that was
Absolute
heavy.
heater.
Yeah, really enjoyed
Wow,
that
wait.
one. That was some heavy
That
vibes.
was one you just like obliterate your speakers on. Go hard.
Yeah, it really had this
And,
futuristic
yeah.
dance floor vibe to it. The synth sounds and wow, heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also see, I think what is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alish, I think I see a donation here from Naughty. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, I did. Shouts out to Naughty for your super chat. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Appreciate it.
Yeah. That's really, really nice of you, man. That's because this is. I will emphasize this is just us doing it at home. So apologize for the technical stuff. We really are doing our best. But yeah, man, thanks for that.
Yeah.
What a slapper. That tune really, really is sick. Would you like to go first with your thoughts on composition?
Yeah. Really appreciate the sound design in this track, especially those almost I don't know what to call it, but I would call it like future disco. Those dun 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 dun. It had just that this really uplifting vibe. It's not really liquid vibes, but almost like a fusion of like this direction that I hear it. We've been moving towards, which is almost like a fusion of like uplifting liquid vibes using like neuro kind of sound. So I definitely appreciated that. It definitely had futuristic and uplifting, and I like that. Drums were slapping. The mix was dope. Overall, a great use of different elements for a very impacting track. So I'm gonna give it a 9.5 in terms of composition.
Yeah, I'm 100% on your tilt with that. The way the whole thing is put together, the drums are like super loud, but like not rambunctious and like taking your whole face off. But like they also do tear your face off. Like it's a very hard balance to do. Like where stuff is like super loud and like really bright, but not in a harsh way where it's just like clipping the whole time. And that's kind of the essence of what I've tried to even explain to people in some of my mix tutorials on your channel. But like that's kind of I don't know, it's kind of a black art doing it like super good, but I think he's like really nailed that type of aesthetic. Like I would probably say this is like in terms of vibe, it may even exceed like how good of a job I did on XLD. Like he's completely flipped it into something else that I don't know. It just like captures a really interesting like 2021 like I don't even know, like a future type of energy in there that I've really not heard very much of, but I hope to hear way more of it in this type of like domain of D&B. So I mean, for composition, that's gonna be another 10 from me. It was very much floating a 9.5, but like man, just on the speakers, on the headphones, the whole thing just really like bam, you know what I mean? It really came together in an amazing way.
Yeah. I definitely feel you. The only reason I didn't give it a 10, I thought that second bass that he added, I thought it could have sounded a little more, I guess, for lack of better terms, there could have been more movement or it could have sounded more organic in terms of just making it sound more mutant. It more just sounded like the same bass stopped hitting each time. Again, it's tight margins here. For me, if it were to make it a 10, it just needed that extra bit for that second bass. But I do think overall the composition was great. So I do stand by my 9.5. Okay,
it's
so
super high marks, by the way. We're talking about a 0.5 here. It's track super well. So
yeah, in terms of arrangement, tried and true, nice delivery. Once the track drops, it just carries through, keeps it engaging. I liked the second drop. It changes up a little bit between the two basses, so that was good. So in terms of arrangement, I'll give it. This one's hard, man. What would I give this one? It was a good arrangement. I did appreciate.
Can't ask me.
I did appreciate that the second part there was a change up. I'll give it a 9.5.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm on arrangement wise, I'm feeling a 9 on this one here.
Okay.
It's basically like a perfectly laid out D&B tune for me. So the reason this isn't on like 9.5, 10 vibes for me is actually what your comments were before under composition, which is that I wish that the bass was flipped in more ways, or the synth was flipped in more ways in the second half of the track to give me a little more to like latch onto and be interested like a second round all over again. I think a lot of the wow factor on this one comes in on the first drop, and that's totally fine because like from a DJ perspective, sometimes you need to do that because like especially if someone does key points or whatever it is, they'll just play the track from the beginning. So it's important to get a lot of the good energy out, but like for the dedicated listener who like went further and further into the track, it would have improved the experience if there was a bit more to grasp onto later in the track. But with that being said, I think 9's pretty fair here for Mark. So I really liked a lot of how this was laid out. It kept the energy like up properly. The intro, the whole thing just meshed together really well. There's lots of contrast, but also like unifying elements, which is again super hard to do. That's gonna be a 9 for me. Really good stuff.
Yeah, in terms of the overall vibe and originality, I liked the impact once it dropped. Heavy track, good use of sounds to carry the track through, and I like that it took it to new territory. So in terms of originality and vibe, 9.5.
Yeah, that's I am definitely on that tilt. This one I'm like even still in real time like juggling this final number here because the originality, there is so much in there that I don't know if it's because I live under a rock or whatever the reason is, but I haven't heard very much of this before. Like that kind of like fusion of like future bass, like I don't even know what you would call that. Like it's kind of like what genre is Daft Punk? Like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's clearly D&B, but it's clearly not. Yeah, like this track straddles like genre lines really well, and I can tell he's a multi-genre producer. And the ones in this list, I could also tell were D&B producers. You know what I mean? Like there's things that D&B producers do in their track versus what they don't do. And I really liked that I was hearing things that they don't do in this track, like a lot. The way the synth, like the chord stab was put together, the rhythm that it was on, and the kind of like envelopes it had, and just with the way that it came together is not typical of the genre in the best way. Like it brought me into a completely different place. The originality, I'm still straddling, but honestly, I think I'm gonna have to give this one a 10 on originality.
Wow.
It really took me completely off guard, and it really sucked me in.
That's big marks there. Big tune. Big marks for a big tune.
Big tune. Yeah. Awesome job.
Sweet. So on to the next artist.
Yeah, I think this will be my intro this time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Let's take a look here. Excellent. All right. Our ninth entry is from Andre Mielescu, aka Onray. His artist alias is a play on a mislabeled work name tag that left out the letter D in his name, simply spelling onray. Here we have another great submission with tons of sound design work, and that will certainly be a treat for the interested listener as well as the large sound system appreciator. So let's see whether or not the compressor was bypassed on this one.
All right, so this is Onray from Toronto, Canada. 3, 2, 1. Ooh. What? Wow.
Big tuna.
That was disgusting. Those sounds.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Yeah. Do you want me to go on composition first, or would you like to?
Go for it.
Oh man. Yeah. That's it's kind of like when you hear a super good tune, it's just like, all right, well, tell me why that was a super good tune. Like, I mean, it just is, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. This one on composition, I'll like right at the, it's a 10. I don't need to justify that. Like the drums sound awesome. The basses sound awesome. The whole thing is really, really well processed. Like everything is in a perfect spot. The mix is like completely locked in. I can tell that's the drum from the original, but he made it even slappier, which I didn't. I worked forever on that snare. I don't know how he made it even bigger, but he did. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. That's really, really, really good.
Yeah, I was really blown away. The sounds that those bass sounds, those gritty bass sounds, and that's what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning through the show. I'm looking for that extra grit in those in that sound design. If you're going for that sound, that's what I want, and this track delivers those nitty gritty Reeses that I'm hearing in that FM bass as well that comes in every now and then. The sound design was just exceptional, and it really did it for me. And it sounds like he took it one step further. It sounds like he added live instrumentation in the back. I heard, it almost sounded like live guitars. I don't know if it's a sample, but it added a nice touch on top of the overall theme of XLD. And I did like the slower tempo. It catches you off guard. Again, takes you to new territory. Blown away by this remix. In terms of competition, it's a 10.
Composition, yeah. And so next category is arrangement. I mean, again, like I don't know what I would even say to improve that. So like for as far as I'm concerned, I didn't like when I put a 10 in there, that didn't feel right. And for me, that was a 9.5 on arrangement, probably because it actually catches me off guard so frequently that I kind of like I lose kilter of even where like the one is. Sometimes that's probably just a failing on my part as a musician, if anything. So maybe I'm not a good judge of that. But it got really soupy in terms of like where the one actually was. But at the same time, I could see why someone would give that a 10 for that exact reason. You know what I mean? Like it is supposed to be a disorienting remix. I think it was at 174. Again, I don't even know. Like it's just kind of it's so ethereal and like you know what I mean? It's all over the place. I'm pretty sure it was at the original tempo. But yeah, I had a few moments in there where it was probably a little bit too disorienting. But I would emphasize that this is probably more failing on my part than anything else. But like personally, that'd be a 9.5 rather than a 10.
Nice. Yeah, for me, the arrangement was dope. I like how he gradually introduced the element. I like how he constructed the bass. Only thing I found was at the end of the track, it left me wanting more. And I guess sometimes this is done intentionally to make the listener want more, but I think this track almost warranted a second drop because it was so good. So this is a tough one. I did want more. So the elements were introduced nicely, neatly. I'm gonna give it a score of 9 in terms of arrangement.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
And then originality. I mean, again, that's another one of like, well, I mean, yeah, very, very original. I kept putting more numbers in there, thinking, does this feel right? Track kept playing. No, doesn't feel right. I really like that this is somehow completely disassociated from the original track, yet it feels like the original track. I don't think that was really possible. Yeah. But fair enough. Like that shows like the level of creativity and you know the ability to think outside of the box and like not just do old tropes. I could hear some Scope influences in there. I could hear like Copycat and like other kind of like grime sort of like loud producers in there. I don't know.
Oh.
So
you just froze for a moment there. So the last thing I heard was a Scope, and then it froze up.
Yeah. So I was saying that like Scope influence, Copycat, like those types of artists that like Mr. Bill, like people that flip samples up in really interesting ways. And what was interesting about that too is that I could tell that the bass flips were coming from the basses that he made himself. They weren't like coming out of sample packs, or if they were done like perfectly. So whatever they were from, it doesn't even matter. The originality was really off the chain on that, and so that's gonna have to be another 10 for me on originality. It's very, very far exceeded what I thought was even possible to do as far as how you could flip a track like that. So a really, really nice job on that.
Yeah, I mean, dope track. Again, it took me by surprise in terms of how he flipped it. I loved how it almost had this kind of Western saloon vibe. I felt like I was just walking into the saloon with like, had both of my guns out, boom, that kind of vibe.
You know what it is? Actually, you're so right. It has Tarantino Saloon written all over it.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it had that cool vibe, so it brought it to cool territory. This one is tough, man. Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah.
There's nothing I don't like about it. Like, it just... it gave me that 10. It's got to be a 10.
Yeah, it's like how do you improve on that? You know what I mean? And we're just sort of both sitting here like scratching our heads of like, this is basically almost a perfect tune. Like I don't really know what I'm gonna say to like we improve that. Like if anything, it's beyond me now. So
it's one of those tracks that if you're right that it's at 174 beats per minute, you play it in a set where you're playing normal speed drum and bass, and you drop this track. Fucking people will just go insane. It's like, whoa, what just happened here?
And I like that there's enough subs in there too. It's not just like all mids and screech and stuff. Like the whole thing is very bodied. And so if you play like even on my speakers, it's just the whole thing is like, you know, the pressure of the bass was really nice.
Yeah, cool. So that was Onray and amazing remix. So this brings us to the final contestant.
I also wanted to shout out Naughty for a second donation. This guy's a madman.
Oh my gosh.
This guy's donating like crazy to our stream. So massive ups for that.
Naughty, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It just means a lot because a lot of work has been put into pushing this show today, and I really do appreciate that. So shouts out to everyone in the chat as well, and on to the next artist. And hopefully I pronounced this correctly. I think the J is pronounced as a Y in this region. So I'll announce
Viljen or something like that.
Viljen, I think. Viljen from Oslo, Norway, and he produces electronic, jazz, and pop. Always nice to hear artists from other backgrounds providing remixes. So Viljen is a composer, producer, and saxophone player working in a variety of genres, and he's unified by jazz sensibilities. And his fun fact is that he's boring. Well, too bad, because your music makes up for it.
That's if I had to give a recommendation already, is don't put that as your interesting facts.
Yeah. So Viljen track. This is him. 3, 2, 1.
Cool.
All right.
Check one.
Hey, did anyone else feel like they were under a tiki hut waiting for a drink? It definitely had that vibe.
Great stuff, man. That's that was really, really original, man. I dug that take a lot.
Yeah, that was outstanding, man. Love it. Love the overall vibe. Made me feel like I was out in a resort, just enjoying the sunshine, man.
Yeah, that is really good stuff. Would you like me to do composition first, or would you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool, man. Yeah, the composition. I mean, yeah, that's great. I can tell pretty much all of that, if not all, that was done by him. Like what I'm so impressed by there is that he managed to make the elements that he did use from the tune sound like they were completely part of the entire thing. Like the guitar, if you didn't realize this was a remix, you wouldn't like it. It wouldn't even register. It's just like, oh yeah, there's like a dub guitar here. You know what I mean? Like it's just he made excellent resource and use out of the things that were there, and it's like I almost felt like I was at a concert. You know what I mean? Like it was so entertaining to watch. If anything, it almost needed a visual element. You know what I mean? Like a band doing it for me, and like really, like I was bouncing on 9.5 and 10 on this. What the reason I settled on 9.5 is because it doesn't like it doesn't actually sound like the original tune very much anymore. It could be its own track with some samples from my track, so I didn't want to dock it like that much over that minor thing, but it sounded like something else rather than necessarily a remix. But at the same time, I think it almost is like a compliment to the fact that he made such good use of the samples. It's kind of what I said about the one above, right? The onray one. It's just like it could even just be a different track, but in this one it reminded me less of the source material. It's the only reason it didn't get a 10 from me. It's just it is still extremely good though, so respect.
Yeah. So I do think to me it does warrant as a remix. It felt like the XLD themes were there. I was just blown away by the overall musicianship, the saxophone solos, the electric piano solos. All the elements that he included in the track to make it sound like one cohesive track. And you mentioned how he included elements, the source material, but it sounded like it was all part of the track, right? So it was cleverly done. The use of melody and harmony was just beautifully, exquisitely done. I like the overall structure, how there's a A-B structure, and how he introduces a different chord progression in that B part. Yeah. And once again, all the different layers, the drums were great. Everything it was a great track. For me, it's a 10.
Yeah, man. I am definitely on I am on that vibe, and actually a comment just came in saying this is one you could play for a really wide audience. That's actually like pretty much what I was going to say. Was that you could show this to your grandma just in the same way you could to whoever your friend was, and they would all be able to vibe to something like that. And that's very hard to do. And not just have it be pop music, because there's a lot of people that hate pop music. I don't know of a lot of people that hate like dub reggae done live and really well. That's hard to hate. You know what I mean? Because the musicianship is so good.
I just want to add something here. You did mention, the dub reggae sound. He did it in a way that sounded like authentic, like it was done back in the day in the 60s or 70s and on an old recording. I wanted to include that point, that the way he mixed the track was well crafted.
Yeah, it was hi-fi, but it gave the vibe of how the lo-fi records would sound. You know what I mean? Like it took a lot of inspiration from dub and reggae, and like it took the best elements out of that and took the advantages of modernity in terms of how you can record stuff at such high fidelity. Everything is mic'd nice, like the mix was nice, nothing was like overrunning other things. And like the one thing I was watching out for is his picture has a saxophone in it, and the first thing I thought is the saxophone gonna be overmixed because he's a primary saxophone player, but it wasn't. The saxophone was perfectly in place. And yeah, because it's like if your picture's a drummer, but then you've got all these other instruments trying to do, the drums are always way too loud. It's just who you are, right? You're a drummer, you want to hear that. Nope, everything was slotted in perfectly, and the arrangement was awesome. It was the perfect blend of familiar and unexpected. So for me, I'm also going to give that a 10. That was extremely well done and on the level of other top musicians in this field. So outstanding work.
Yeah, it just shows that the just professional skill level here all around today. And this is another example of it. Just professional songwriting. Once again, I really have to stress the great use of A-B song structure, where he has the main theme during the first part of the track. He takes you somewhere, makes you feel all giddy inside with those nice sunny feelings, and then the B section comes in, switches it up, gets a little more melodramatic, and definitely felt those feels. I like that use of A-B when done with a great use of chord progression. It is so impactful. The only thing I found was that I felt that the track could have used a short break in the middle to keep the listener more engaged at the end of the track. So maybe he could have exited the drums for a phrase or two to let the music breathe and then come back in so that it would be more engaging for the audience. So that was the only thing. That it was steady, nothing wrong with that, but I wanted that a break in the middle to keep me engaged as we approach the second part of the track. So in terms of arrangement, I'm going to give it a 9.5.
That's actually interesting you say that, because like it was the fact that it didn't duck out too much is what kept me engaged. So it's just like the two different perspectives, and comes back to why this is a mixture of tracks in this list, like because we like different stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. We gave it high marks for different reasons, but yeah, I actually liked the kind of almost gapless feel of it. It kept me like in the concert, so to speak. So interesting take on that.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So.
And then, originality.
Yeah.
I mean, what can I say here, right? The originality is so off the charts on something like this. It is, wow. Like, I really dig the fact that this track sounds like it took years and years and years of skill to make, Like, this isn't something that someone can just slap together. Like, the instrumentation's so like fresh but also familiar, and his understanding of like progression and sound and like the whole mix. This is someone who has got a lot of skill in the musical domain in general. You know what I mean? It's very hard for me to like summarize that neatly because it's so encompassing here, like what he's done with this remix. So the originality, I was floating 9.5 and 10 on this because, again, it's like we're so down to the wire on how good these tracks are. It's like, how do I really separate that? You know what I mean? But honestly, my best feeling comes from a 10 on originality. I didn't like 9.5 on that because that didn't represent how really interesting this whole thing was. So for me, I would call that perfect originality. It completely took me by surprise. And yeah, absolutely fantastic job on that, Viljen, or however you would say that correctly. But yeah.
Yeah. So those were some great thoughts, and I will also say that, man, this song just blew me away. Just gave me those feels. You don't encounter songs very often when you listen to it. It just gives you those feelings when you get goosebumps and that chill down your spine when that chord progression comes in on that B section. It just, wow, just amazing musicianship here. Original took the song to completely new territory while still using the XLD themes. Just loved this track, loved the original vibe. Once again, made me feel like I was on a beach I loved it. Great use of this dub reggae genre. Sounded authentic. I'm going to give it original vibe score of 10.
Yeah, amazing marks on that one. We had some real bangers in this whole thing here. So I think at this point we're just doing some back end score sorting, and we'll be ready to present some of these results. I'd be curious to have if you had some kind of like closing wrap up thoughts here, Mr. STRANJAH.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just overwhelmed by the level of talent that's out there, and that everyone has submitted. There's so much music that we listened to in this remix contest that was so good, and just goes to show that man, just the talent is up there right now, and there's so much undiscovered talent right now. It's just this music needs to be heard, and I just want to thank you to all the remixers, not just the 10, but everyone that submitted a remix. Thank you for your effort and being part of this journey. It's been an amazing journey, going through all your remixes, and really appreciate your work.
I absolutely echo that sentiment. You said it perfectly. The quality of work here has been outstanding. So thank you all for putting a huge amount of time and effort into this remix and taking it super seriously, because it's made our jobs way harder. Because we've really got to sit here and like make some very tough calls on super good music, and that's a great problem to have. Is when you have no idea who won, because it's all amazing, you know what I mean? Like, but that's why we tried to settle on, okay, well, 3 categories here. That way it's not just like, well, I give this track it has to be across the entire board here. So I'd be curious to know how we're doing with the score chart, because I think I've got my thoughts here.
Yeah, oh great. I'm gonna run the drum roll, and then we'll bring up the score. All right, the scores are in, and wow, looks like we have a tie in the 3rd place. So Payne and Healian comes in a 57.5 in the 3rd place. So we have a way to deal with this, so just hold tight. Onray comes in at number 2 with 58.5, and then Viljen comes in with the top spot with 59. Wow.
Nicely job, Viljen. Great job.
All right, so first off, I think we should we have a straw poll to break this tie. So we're going to be getting some audience participation here to come down to the to break this tie. And I guess let me just pop that into the chat. And just want to call out, does everyone remember Payne and Healian's track? Because we're going to do a straw poll here today. Oh, it looks like Anna has posted it, so great. Okay, I just pinned the message. If you guys are aware of the track, then we don't need to play it through, but maybe I can just flip back just briefly so you guys can hear the track just shortly. So Payne's was...
So far, the results are really, really tight.
I just had flip through. Okay, we're getting some no's, so maybe we should play the track, each track from the top. Do you think that that's fair? Play both ties from the top?
At least play the first little bit of each track, since they had similarities from front to back, just to refresh people on.
Yeah, so I'll just play Payne's again. I'll give it a little more time, run time.
The results are very, very tight, like, because they're both great. Like, how are you going to pick? So the audience will have to help us on this. And for anyone wanting to click on the link, it's in the chat, but it's pinned at the top too, if that way you don't have to scroll through. super close voting here.
All right, so that was Payne's, and this is Healian.
Like them both. I really like them both. Both amazing entries.
Payne. Oh.
Okay, we're starting to see a bit of a trend here with the votes. Alan, have you got that up on your screen too?
Not yet. Just one moment.
Make sure to hit auto refresh, that way you can see it.
All right.
Both super good entries here. Those votes are coming in.
Keep on voting, guys. Keep on voting.
It's super close. We genuinely need more votes because it's so tight. And I'll also add neither Alan or I are voting. This is purely just what you guys think.
Yep.
I am seeing a trend here though, Alan. I'm sure you're seeing that too. It is still super tight. Also, big up Ryan Purden, $10 amazing donation. Thank you, Ryan. You're a G.
Thank you, Ryan. Big up.
So we've got we got a few minutes here. Just
let's give everyone a few more minutes to vote. So we played Healian's track earlier. That was pretty massive.
We'll play the second half of Payne's remix at his request. And vote link is at the top, / Flow and its stages posted it a bunch. Just have a look through here and we'll definitely, you can cast your vote. It's very close. We need everyone to give us a vote here because it's going to be super tough. Let's let it run for about maybe 1-2 more minutes or so, because I think we've got pretty close to a result.
Yeah, I'll just put a timer on, and then.
Yeah, give me 1 more minute on that timer, and we'll the last stragglers come through here. And again, not giving away where the poll is at, just asking people to vote. Both in extremely competent entries here, so this is what makes the whole choosing who wins thing kind of a tough gig.
Yeah. I'll just play Healian.
I think we've I think we've got a pretty decided result here, Mr. STRANJAH. If you have a look at the
let me have a look at it. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's no longer close. We've got a pretty clear divide here.
All right, so I'm gonna open it up, and I'm gonna All right, so we have the tiebreaker in, and we have 21 votes for Payne and 14 for Healian. Wow, I think it's pretty decisive here. I still think it's pretty tight. That was a very hard decision here, but I think the popular vote wins, and Payne takes home the third prize. So let's just bring back.
I feel good about that.
Let's just bring back the score sheet. So once again, I guess I'll read out all the scores. So BC Slumber 50.5, Rouman at 52.5, Jomari at 53, Shohin's also at 53, Psyek's at 55, Omicron's at 56.5. Of course, Payne and Healian were at 57.5, but the vote is in, and Payne takes the third place. Onray takes the second place, and Viljen takes the grand prize. So congratulations, everyone. Congratulations to all the participants. It's been an amazing process to share with you this contest, and congrats to the winners. Congrats to all of you that made it through to the top 10. It wasn't easy, so it definitely shows that the talent is up there.
Yeah, the talent was insane. Big up everybody. So, and Alan, there's one more extra level of giveaways here if you want to talk a second about that too.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to mention, well, first and foremost, before we even get there, I just want to thank you to Metapop for hosting this remix contest. They've been incredibly generous and helpful in the process of making this happen, and just want to thank Native Instruments and Captain Plugins for their amazing, generous prizes, and I hope you guys enjoy them. And we just want to add a bit of appreciation for all the finalists that entered. So all of you that entered and that made it through the top 10 will be receiving TYR KOHOUT's Accelerate album, and also the Wave pack for my gnarly preset pack. So all 10 of you will be receiving that, so look out for that in your email soon. And also, for everyone that tuned in today, we have something for you as well. So we're providing a 30% discount on our entire catalog on Deviant Audio, and you can check that out on our Bandcamp. I'll post a link in the chat box, but the code is XLD30. Unfortunately, I don't have. Let me just put it in a notepad, and I can share it. So.
So we wanted to make sure that everyone got as much cool stuff as we possibly could, not just little prizes, big stuff that people could enjoy. And since it's, so many people decided to give a stab at remixing my track, I thought it was fitting that you guys all got a copy of it, whoever made the top 10. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope it gets you moving, because that's been my pride and joy for the past little while. So it's that's our gift to you.
Yeah, so I'll just bring that up just momentarily. Here it is.
And just in audio, it would be XLD30 is the code to use on the Deviant catalog, and Alan's got it here on the website on the screen.
So if you want to, you're interested, you can pick up any of our catalog on deviantaudio.bandcamp.com. The code is XLD30, and the discount is 30%, and it'll be available for the week. And so, other than that, just want to thank everyone that participated, everyone that engaged with the chat and joined us, and also participated in voting and helping us decide the results of the contest. Thank you. Thank you to all, and make sure to check the links in the description. We've listed our personal favorites as well as social media links to all 10 of the finalists. If you're interested, you can also check out the entire 212 remixes. I think some of them have been taken down, so I think it's down to 210 now. But if you're interested, all the links are down in the description. And remember, TYR KOHOUT's Accelerate album is out next week on all platforms, March 23rd. So look out for that. Anything else you want to say, TYR?
What I want to say is thank you. To you, Alan, to Anastasia for helping us so much in the back end here, keeping the information straight. I want to thank you for curating Deviant Audio and having an amazing label. I want to thank Captain Plugins, Native Instruments, Metapop. They've been great to work with. Huge, massive respect to those guys. Thank you everyone in the chat, especially the big donators in here. Friggin', oh man, we've got some people throwing money around. It's so thanks a lot. Didn't expect that at all. I get super chats. So look, I mean, everyone who decided to tune in, everyone who will tune in on the stream replay, this is a great experience, and I'm super glad we did this. And all you guys are great. People watching, voting, chatting, whatever it is, anything is super awesome. We're glad you decided to come and spend some time with us today.
Yeah, and I just want to encourage everyone that's in their music journey, keep at it. As you can see, the talent is out there, and there's so many resources out there to help you improve these days. So definitely keep producing there's a great community out here. You can join my Discord channel if you're a producer, where people are submitting tracks and getting them reviewed with each other. There's a great community there as well. Remember, if you haven't, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm putting out music production tutorials regularly on my channel. So anyone that's new to my channel today, thank you for tuning in, and would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe the crap out of Alan's channel, because he makes amazing stuff. Everyone should see it. His tutorials are the best, really, of the best of their type. So absolutely, everyone like and subscribe to that, because he's doing amazing work.
Yes, and make sure to follow TYR KOHOUT's social media. Also, shouts out to Flo and Anastasia helping us out in the background. Couldn't have done it without you. And make sure to also follow Flo and Anastasia. She is an amazing vocalist, very talented, and she's got some great music out. Check out her Spotify. It's Flo Anastasia, all one word. Other than that, great show. Thank you again, everyone. Until next time, we'll see you at next stream.